Rubber ducky, you're the one. Sitting on Neo's head looks so fun. Sorry guys. Revisiting beloved franchises almost 20 years after the original ran its course hasn't always worked out, but we're always willing to give it another try, this time with the Wachowskis' influential Matrix series. The movies that brought us bullet time and renewed the popularity of Hong Kong-style action is back at it again, and there's a fresh coat of paint on some old favorites, plus a beard on Keanu Reeves.
Am I crazy?
Like any good franchise, the legend of the Matrix expanded beyond the movies. In this case, it also included a series of animated shorts and an MMORPG that extended the story. In the case of the video game, that also saw the demise of the one central character that made it all the way to the end credits of the films, Morphius. Early in that game, Morphius, who had been setting off code bombs in order to force the machines to return to Neo's body, was done in by special bullets that returned fatal injuries in the Matrix to affecting the real-world body of the person who was shot. Now, there's a very Morpheus-esque character wearing Prince Nez sunglasses and handing out color pills. From one of the literally hundreds of thousands of clips on the film's website, it appears that this new Morpheus, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen, is being assembled like a complex 3D printer. Also no longer dead, but this time aged up and not down, are the two other central characters, Neo and Trinity. Only Neo is back to being called Thomas Anderson, and he and Trinity haven't sorted out if they've met before. Oh, you've met before. Biblically. The power couple of the original trilogy died at the climax of the trilogy, so a little memory loss when they turn up walking around all not dead is probably to be expected. One of the recurring themes in The Matrix was framing phenomena as quirks of the program. Legends of vampires and werewolves were programs that went off the rails, and deja vu wasn't just a feeling, it was the Matrix glitching out, probably because someone had too many tabs open in Firefox. The latter was demonstrated by Neo seeing the same black cat do the same thing twice. Black cats would make a few more appearances throughout the series, leaning on their role in superstitions, and the black cat returns to symbolism duty in the trailer as well. Even new characters return to some original series features. Jonathan Groff seems pretty excited about returning to the Matrix, but in one of the clips from the website you can see his mouth sealing up like Neo's when he was first interrogated by the agents in the first Matrix. Pretty quickly in the series, the story of the Matrix started to revolve around the Oracle telling Neo to go to one place or another and fetch a thing that would allow him to go to another place. One of those places was the Source, supposedly the gooey center of the Matrix world. But it just turned out to be the architect who was very fond of monologuing. It turns out he had another half-dozen places to go before he found the real center of the Matrix, Tootsie Roll Pop. To enter the Source, Neo had to enter a door with blinding white light. From a rooftop, Neo appears to have to enter another brightly lit doorway. Hopefully he's wearing comfy shoes, because whatever's on the other side might take a while. Perhaps the biggest influence of the Matrix series, aside from tech dudes contemplating whether or not we live in a simulation, is the concept of the red and blue pills. They are the symbols that Morpheus offers Neo to decide if he wants to live a life of illusion or take a peek behind the curtain. Blue sends you back to real life of living in a condemned hotel and working for a snotty boss. Red reveals the true world where you're just living in goo acting as a battery. The trailer features Neo taking blue pills as a prescription, which appears to be keeping him unaware of the Matrix, but he seems to be building up a tolerance. Once Neo had taken the red pill and found out how deep the rabbit hole really went, or at least started to, the unreal nature of the Matrix was demonstrated for him by making an impossible leap of faith, jumping from one building to the next and triggering Reeves' iconic, "Whoa." The trailer and some of the clips finds Neo taking a similar leap of faith, stepping off the ledge of a tall building. Of course, it doesn't show us how that worked out. The big heel turn for the series happened in Revolution when Neo made an adorable girl at a subway station waiting for the train man to pick him up. The adorable little girl turned out to be a program, the offspring of other programs. The dilemma they faced was the girl had no purpose in the illusion. Programs without a purpose were deleted, and the programs were capable of love because love is a word to describe stuff. This prompted Neo to save the programs by negotiating a truce, something the adorable girl named Sati memorialized at the end with a beautiful sunrise.
Look!
Asking if she'd see Neo again. The Oracle seemed to think it was likely, and the trailer features a lot of beauty shots of a low-hanging sun, tying in Sati's tribute to see Neo once again. The Matrix leaned heavy on Alice in Wonderland symbolism, specifically with Morpheus' rabbit hole analogy. That refers to Alice following the March Hare down his rabbit hole and transporting Alice to Wonderland. The Wonderland metaphors come back hard in the trailer, and not just in the use of Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit, but also in the actual Alice in Wonderland book showing up. If that was a little too subtle for you, Neo is literally going through the looking glass, the title of the sequel of Alice in Wonderland, and yet another metaphor for stepping into a new, wider reality. The early aughts were a golden time for Hugo Weaving. He was in two of the biggest trilogies of all time, Lord of the Rings and The Matrix. He would wrap up the decade being Captain America's iconic baddie, the Red Skull, in the biggest movie franchise of all time, the MCU. High fives to his agent, huh? Weaving's Agent Smith reportedly won't return due to scheduling conflicts, but that's okay, because Agent Johnson appears to be on the task of chasing down those pesky anomalies. It's not just Sati's sunrise that makes a symbolic return in the new Matrix trailer. Maybe. Priyanka Chopra Jonas makes a brief appearance, giving a knowing smile not unlike the Oracle. Sati was last seen in the Oracle's care at the end of the original trilogy. Is she Sati? Is Sati the new Oracle? We know that the Oracle takes on new forms as things get hairy, so it shouldn't be ruled out. Or maybe that knowing smile is telling us that our assumptions are just silly. It wouldn't be the first time. Mephisto. The blue pill showing up as a prescription medication isn't the only nod that happens with the telltale "let me live a lie" choice. The blue pill is labeled Ontolofloxin. Ontology is a branch of metaphysics dealing with the nature of being. Sort of what it'd be like to live in a Philip K. Dick story where someone questions whether or not their experiences are real, something that The Matrix plays heavily on. Old Phil would have loved this series. I can call him Phil. We both worked at record stores in the Bay Area. It's enough to make you question reality, really. When the newly printed Morphius reoffers Neo the choice between living the lie or not, he's heard saying "time to fly" as Neo picks the red pill. There's an early reference to a drug being the only way to fly in the first movie, but more directly, flying is one of the unique abilities that Neo demonstrates that assures Morpheus that Neo is the one, as well as leaping tall buildings being the first demonstration of the Matrix. In the middle of a rather somber and atmospheric trailer is a long shot of Neo in a bubble bath with a rubber ducky on his head. It seems like a moment of whimsy for the brooding Neo, but it's also a nod to his coder background that led him to the Matrix in the first place. Rubber ducking, or rubber duck decoding, involves a coder working debugging a program by trying to explain it simply to a rubber duck that won't talk back or judge the programmer, because coding, it can get to you. One thing that is notably absent from the trailer is the Matrix iconic bullet time. The production actually created new technology that captured action with a series of cameras strung together, filming up to 180 degrees. This allows the action to freeze and rotate around the subject while they leapt and bent and twisted, dodging bullets and crane kicking people through walls and stuff. It was so amazing looking that it immediately appeared everywhere, going from innovative to overplayed almost overnight. That's not to say there's not a lot of reality bending action, but the signature bullet time was notably absent. Whether it's being avoided because of over-imitation or it's being saved for a key dramatic moment remains to be seen. One question that remains to be seen is if the way out of the Matrix was landlines, how tricky is it going to be for people to get out in today's age? Maybe that was the machine's secret plot all along. They'd slowly remove landlines, trapping people in the Matrix forever. Now, where's my rubber ducky?